We just closed out episode 8, and now we're jumping right into episode 9. Quick little recap of kind of the differences between these two episodes. Episode 8, we really focus on like that more mental aspect of it, and like those ideas, just having the real conversation. Honestly, is what it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna spruce up a little bit now. I was locked in on that last one.
Well, I think it was good because it was a real conversation. We mentioned in the last episode that we were bouncing around a little bit, but I think that's what a real conversation is.
Yeah.
You're going to bounce around.
True.
Because you have so many ideas
Good
off
point.
of what the person says and all of that. And that's good. So now it's going to be a little bit more specific, actionable, more of a health-related type of an episode.
Yeah, I hope I can give some good input here. But
I have so many things from a societal standpoint, but then also things that people can do to significantly help their mental and emotional health. And this is so important for me, and I can't wait to kind of go through these. I want to start with asking you a question, though, Carson.
let's go.
What do you think,
Let the kid cook.
in terms of our society and environment,
Oh wait, hold on. Go ahead.
what's one or two things, or however many you can think of, that is the biggest detriment to our current mental and emotional health? Maybe you have a personal example. Anything off the top of your head?
Wait, say one more time.
So what do you think is a societal or an environmental factor or norm that is leading us to this mental health crisis that we are in?
I think the most obvious one. You could have prepped me for this question.
I didn't. That's why I'm happy I didn't.
I think the most obvious one, and rightfully so, is social media. No.
100%. It's literally my first one. So let's start with that. So because I want to go in through environmental factors, and I want to go then.
I passed the test.
Yeah, but how come? What do you think is?
Oh shit! I didn't expect to follow up.
What do you think?
No,
yeah,
I'm just
but
kidding.
what's your honest
people
personally? What do you think is the reason behind it?
I think people get a comparison. We talked about it on the last episode. I think people start to compare themselves, and comparison. There's like a really good saying out there. God knows I don't know. It's like comparison is the death of I don't even know. But my point is, people see these people on social media who are six-packed, or the girls are absolute tens allegedly, and they're everything they wish that they could be, and it's just not reality at all. And we almost think that it is reality, or we get on social media and we think like, oh, this is reality, I should be making this much money, I should look like this, I should have a house that looks like that, I should have a girlfriend that looks like that, and things like this. Whatever it may be, it's not reality, but it comes across on our phones as it is.
You know what's crazy about that? Because you see it with like entrepreneur gurus or like any kind of model on social media for like a fitness brand. Bro, that is not who or what they are in real life.
No.
Like you see these, I'll tell you, being a health coach on social media, there are so many health coaches or people that put themselves out there, ripped, six-pack abs, that are living a miserable life because that they need to keep
Because that's
that
what
up.
they need to keep up.
And that just shows you how much of a horrible reality, in quotes, that it's just not what it is. And I totally agree that the comparison thing is the biggest thing with social media. Not only
It's unbelievable.
you know what's crazy, that how much of an impact comparison is having. We said that before even the actual like detriment that actually scrolling on social media like to our what that actually does to our brain. That's the crazy
science
part.
behind that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Which
Which is weird for the comparison, so correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I don't think girls watch a TikTok and say like, I want to be making like those videos. Maybe they do. I don't know. But it's more like I want to look like that.
it's look.
Yeah.
It's
like I don't
100%
see a
look.
guy like doing stuff and it is like, I'm like, oh dude, I want to jump on Instagram and like be an Instagram model and stuff like that. But you do get like but I do want to like be jacked like that.
Yeah. You see it and it induces some form of a reaction. And we talked
Yeah.
about in the last episode how everyone's going to react differently to other stressors. it's going to induce some form of a reaction, right? So like a stupid example is you see that guy that's jacked, and then you think about the meal that you just had, and you're like, tough, right? So
Tough.
but that's crazy, dude, because that's just that's a comparison thing that kind of goes into what we were talking about last episode. That doesn't even bring into what it's actually doing to our brains. Like we are what let me get into that a little bit. What social media is doing to our brains is one, attention. Our society and our attention span is scary.
Negative.
People cannot focus on one thing for more than 5 seconds. Because one, we have so many distractions, social media being one of them because we get notifications for it. But then these all the now social media, what it is, just reels and TikTok videos, like these very short videos that people can't even watch the entire video. It's a 10-second video. People don't even watch the video. We scroll through them. I will literally watch someone. I was literally at a family Christmas party, and I was watching everyone on the couch, and some of them were on TikTok, and they were just like no way watching the video, just mindlessly scrolling, and that just shows how social media is destroying our attention span, and what it's doing to us is it is blocking us from being creative and innovative, and this is something I want to touch on about social media and mental health is. It is blocking our ability to build a relationship with ourselves. People cannot imagine being alone in their own mind for more than a minute. And I know this because I tell people all the time when I go on my runs, I don't wear headphones. I'm by myself with no distractions. People are like, how do you do that? I'm like, oh my gosh. People cannot even be comfortable with themselves. If you can't have your own, the most important relationship is the relationship that you have with yourself, and if you can't be by yourself, talk to yourself. Oh man.
Yeah, I saw something recently. I think it was I did it in response to a podcast, but I'm trying to implement into my routine, like coming home when Lauren's not home or at work, and like not going on my phone, not turning on the TV, because someone called out a challenge in the podcast and was like, go home and just for the first day realize how much you're on your phone or on your TV, and then you go to bed. And they said the next day, turn them both off and try to be with yourself and see how long you can last before you get bored. Don't you know, it's 30 seconds, you're like, I gotta touch my phone, like I gotta turn something on. And like right then you realize like, holy shit, like I'm in deep, like I'm addicted to these things.
Bro.
And now like I'm trying to little by little be like, all right, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, be okay with like being bored or not being bored quote unquote, but it's more just like time with yourself. Like let your mind wander. Like you don't have a distraction, just be with yourself.
Is bored even a thing anymore? Being bored, like we were bored as kids because we didn't have social media.
No, bored is being on TikTok now.
Right.
But it's
But
like,
you're not bored anymore.
But you're not bored. It's like you just throw bored because you have nothing else to do.
Yeah. You know what's so funny about that creative and innovative thing? This is a perfect example is the shower thought. Yeah. Why do you think we have all of these thoughts in the shower? Because, well, I hope people aren't bringing their phone into the shower. That would be that would be bad. But because you're alone by yourself in your own thoughts. So now you have the ability to be a little creative and innovative.
Yeah. Which is crazy. So if you're innovative in those 15 minutes, so say you're me, right? And you're on your phone all day and you watch TV when you go home, you take a shower, you go to bed, you wake up, you repeat it, right? If you're innovative in those 15 minutes, you get in the shower and you're unplugged from those things, imagine if you string that into a half hour. You string that into 45 minutes.
How crazy is that? So 100%. Social media, not only from what it's actually doing, like comparison and like messing around with people, but then actually like in like psychologically what it's doing.
But I guess here's the thing, like, and I guess I'm already trying to do it in my life too. Like I said, I'm trying to go home and disconnect. It's so hard.
So hard.
But like, what do you recommend on ways to try and distance yourself from it? Because just for me, like, like I enjoy sports. I like going home throwing on. God, I hate the NBA right now, but throwing on a basketball game, college basketball, NBA. I also like will get updates on like what's happening in this universe from social media because I don't go on news platforms or watch the news. So like I try to stay up that front, but then you get lost in other stuff. So how do you stay up to date on what you care about and like minus out all the bullshit?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things with this is, and this kind of goes something else to mention with a huge negative with social media, is that most of the social media, everyone's For You page is negative stuff, right? The news is 100% negativity, right? So that's why, and I feel like there is a generational shift where our generation doesn't really watch the news because we know it's so negative.
Yeah, but you get it through like you see the plane crashes on your TikTok,
Yeah.
or you see like Trump did something stupid on your TikTok. Or
So I think one, it's you got to be careful with what your algorithm is. If your algorithm is negative, then you might have to really think about taking a step back. Now, what's really cool is actually Instagram added a feature where you can like completely reset your algorithm. But I would think about it. If your algorithm is negative, think about how much time you spend on social media. Good example for me is my algorithm is literally food and recipes, right? I think social media, there's a lot of positives. Because like we said, right, it gives you the ability to connect with people socially. Maybe it starts online, then goes to in person. But I think if you understand the positives of social medias and really realize how much negative it is, if you can kind of switch the flip, then you can still use social media in a very good way. I still go on Instagram all the time to find a new recipe, but that's my algorithm.
Right.
I'm lucky that that's the only stuff in my algorithm where I know a lot of. Here's a good example. I don't go on Twitter, X, because my X algorithm is all, for some reason, politics and like all the negativity stuff. So I don't go on it anymore and I turn the notifications off for it because I know that it's just not good for me.
Right.
I'll go on Instagram. My Facebook algorithm for some reason is all triathlon stuff. So I'm going on that and I'm only picking the videos that are about triathlons because I'll get value out of it.
I wonder
So
what my algorithm is.
I would just take a step back, look at your algorithm, and see if it's actually providing any value or insight to you. That would be one way to use social media.
how to
Because they're
get a
listening.
six pack.
Yeah, because they're listening. So if that's step one, if you still want to use social media because there are positives to it, take a look at that. Step two is I still think it's very important to create those times where you remove yourself.
Yeah, you
For
have
me,
to. I found it's been great.
I talked about my morning routine, and I don't go on my phone for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way because no one's awake. You don't even look at your phone, so you don't know what's going on. If you don't look at it, you don't know what's going. Like it doesn't matter. 30 minutes again. Fill it in with whatever you think is going to be a distraction. A lot easier said than done.
Yeah,
but I
the
think
first
those
30
are the
minutes
two
is
things.
tough. So what I've been trying to do ever since that episode was because I switched to the alarm clock on my watch, and I've been trying to stay off my phone for like. So what'll happen is I'll do my morning routine, which is nowhere near where it needs to be. I click my phone so like to see what my notifications are, which you advise against because it does like spike your levels. But then what I try to do is for when I leave the door to get to work, so the whole ride in, I put my phone like in the passenger seat floor. So I try not to look at it for like the whole 30-minute ride in, and I actually don't even put a podcast on, so it's just straight silence on the way in.
Driving is the best time to do it.
Yeah.
Because we shouldn't be on our phone anyway.
Yeah.
And we're all guilty of it, and it's so bad.
So that's what I've been trying to do in the morning to kind of like streamline the. I gotta get in the sunlight though.
So this goes into a second one, which is overstimulation. And obviously social media is a stimulator. It's gonna overstimulate you, especially on like TikTok and stuff like that.
You get lost on there, dude.
Yeah.
I was on there last night and I was on there. I was like, all right, I gotta go to bed. It's 9:00 when you called me because I was like, I'm going to bed early, and so I was trying to get in bed early, and then all of a sudden it's 9:30, and I'm like, I just like half hour like that.
Yeah. So the thing
You get lost. It's wild.
You get lost. And the thing I want to bring up about overstimulation is, now think about this, especially at the end of the night. I bet you there's a lot of people out there that are not only scrolling on TikTok or social media, but the TV's also on.
Yeah,
or
mine was.
Or there's music
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And also think about people when they work. if you're working a desk job, how many of those people have something on? Music, podcast, right? To try to work with another thing stimulating your brain, again, shuts off that creativity and
Yeah.
innovation. So if you have a job that requires focus work, I literally set in my calendar focus time, which means no distractions, no podcasts. Actually, what I do is instead of music, I do a white noise, and it just locks me in. But I used to be so guilty of this. I would watch the Pat McAfee show every time I would study
Great
in
show.
school. Love it. You are not focusing or retaining any of the
No
things
shot.
that
That
you're doing.
dude is electric. You can't take your
Yeah.
eyes off the screen.
So I think another big action item is overstimulation for people. Trying to reduce it, especially during times where they need to be creative and innovative. Get rid of those distractions. Set that timer. If it's an hour, do an hour of focus work. You'll bang it out and then be done with it. And then you can do some mindless work with a podcast on and stuff like that. So I would
Yeah.
separate the two.
And continue to like get that in your head that like what you see on social media is not reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I think and another piece of overstimulation is your environment, right? A lot of people that live in cities, they're overstimulated just from the chaos going on too.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about too, is if you're overstimulated in the city, then when you get home, try not to overstimulate yourself more.
Right.
Try to destimulate, I don't know what the word for that is, but you know what I mean.
I didn't go to college.
Bring it down. You did.
I know. It just
In a
sounded-
city where you're
It
overstimulated.
just sounded good. Didn't it?
So, all right, overstimulation was another one. I think that was really good with social media. Some of the other ones that are actually going to lead into the action item as well, that I cannot wait to get into, is our food,
Yeah.
exercise and movement, and then I just want to list these out and we'll dive into them.
Mm-hmm.
Food, exercise, and movement, and sleep.
So we touched a bit. Sleep's a big one too.
We touched on it in the last episode.
We touched on it last episode.
Not last one. But
When we're
previous one.
talking about mental health, I'm talking about, and where my personal experience, like I felt a little bit of a difference when I said I was talking to my buddy and I was like, dude, it's crazy what fitness or like getting in the gym or going for a walk does for your mind, and I meant that when I said it. It is crazy. If you ever feel like a little bit stressed out, I tell this to Lauren all the time. Like we talk about it pretty openly. When she's stressing, my response to her every time is just go for a walk. Like you'd be surprised on what it does. And I think even it took me a while because like it's coming from me. So she's like, Carson, shut up. But like if someone else told her, she'd be like, maybe. Like if she saw it on Instagram, she'd be like, all right, I'll go for a walk.
Yeah.
But it's because it's me. But I think she went for one the other day and then followed it up. And I think that she's starting to see the difference. There is a real difference there between mental health and fitness.
Absolutely. And so these are the big three.
Correlation, I should say. Did I say difference? There's a real correlation between mental health and
Yeah.
fitness.
These are the big three, right? So
Sleep is huge too.
Sleep is massive. I want to just touch on briefly why nutrition and exercise are from a science standpoint, but then sleep I really want to dive into. But then I have a bunch of health related action items for people after. But with nutrition, number one, not many people realize that their nutrition, so our gut health, our gut, everything from the food we eat when it goes into our stomach and then into our intestines, is directly related to our brain. Literally by a why am I drawing a blank on a freaking gosh, I'm completely drawing a blank. But
I wish I could help. I just didn't know what you were saying.
A nerve. Dude, I literally couldn't think of a nerve. So our brain, literally, that's crazy. Our brain and our gut
It's been a long
is
day.
connected, what's called the vagus nerve. And there is an actual connection of the food that you eat and how your brain and your mental health is. Another example of this is we have a hormone called serotonin. That's our happy hormone. 90% of our serotonin is in our gut. It's called the gut microbiome. It's our family of bacteria in our gut. So when we feed our gut healthy things, real food, single ingredient, unprocessed, and then like, for example, probiotic rich foods, like all that kind of stuff, you are feeding, number one, the good gut bacteria that's going to allow it to grow. You're going to prevent the bad bacteria from growing, and therefore you will significantly help your brain. Not only from that, but you also just feel better because you ate a good meal.
Yeah.
Right? And then that leads into the next good action item. So that's the kind of like very brief with nutrition. To say that what you are eating does not have an impact on your brain is, I know it's weird to think about because they're very separated. There's a direct connection with a nerve. Got it that time. Vagus nerve. Exercise, real quick brief on that is, again, we have a hormone in our gut, serotonin. We also have hormones that make us feel happy and feel good with exercise, and they're called endorphins, and that is the reason why you will never regret doing a workout, but you always regret not doing it. And why we all feel so good after a workout is because we release literally a happy hormone from our body, and then also just in general we're just happy because we got it done and we didn't want to do it. So those are just very brief things on nutrition, exercise.
Not to like be annoying, but if you have listened, I'm just like connecting dots. If you've listened to the previous podcast, you can kill multiple birds with one stone. Like we talk about eating right. It's going to make your mental health better. It's going to make you physically look better, which we had talked about. It's going to make you sleep better. It's checking, like eating right doesn't just check off one box. It's checking off all these boxes that are problems that we keep having to talk about, but we keep talking about all these issues, and the way you eat food comes up as a solution every single time. And being active comes up as a solution every single time. You want better skin, you want better hair growth, eat better, do exercise. You want a better mindset, eat better, do some exercise. Like there's so many can't even figure out what the saying is. There's so many boxes that get checked from simple activities if you just change simple habits that you have.
People probably get so annoyed at me because I'm the health coach that when they say, "Hey, how can I fix this?" Like insert anything. Well, how's your nutrition, exercise?
It's the same
and sleep?
answers
Every time. Every single time.
So would you call them the core three for you?
Yeah. I absolutely.
I know you probably. I put you on the spot. You probably never thought about it that way.
No, I do because when I do my corporate wellness webinars, it's a 6-part series. The first 3 are nutrition, movement, and exercise, sleep. The 4th one is mental and emotional health because those 3
contribute
go
to that.
go into that. So yeah, I would.
So
by the way, all of the same importance, even sleep, that's why I want to save sleep for. I wanted to give a brief. Crazy that we're giving a brief for nutrition, exercise because of how important sleep is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say they're the core 3.
Well, so then if you say that, like, not to like oversimplify all these things that we talked about, but if you're able to hammer down what you eat, hammer down your fitness, and hammer down your sleep, it's not simple, but is it simple?
Look, and I also can't speak in absolutes, and
like three things. I'm only asking you to focus on 3 things. If you can do these 3 things, you're gonna see.
I don't like speaking in absolute, so I'll never say that this is going to cure or fix this. But I will look into that camera and say that the core 3, because a lot of people are going through mental health, but a lot of people are going through other chronic diseases and conditions. Those core 3, if you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing, can fix. Have the ability to fix all of it. It's crazy, dude. And I really want to emphasize this to people because, again, we talked about in the last episode when people feel lost. If someone feels lost in their health, nutrition, exercise, and sleep have changed my life. And we have the societal norm of I'm the weirdo, right? I'm on a diet. I'm not on a diet. I'm eating what we're supposed to be eating. But I'm on a diet. I'm the crazy exercise guy. Yes, I am. But it's also because I understand the benefits. You know, it's something that's always funny to me is like people look at people that are healthy and they say and eat well and they say, "Gosh, like you look so good. Like, what do you do?" But they know what we do.
Yeah.
Right. But it's kind of like,
don't say wait. I'm not there yet.
It's the Amazon effect. Right, which we want something instantly, and what isn't instant is nutrition, exercise.
It's
and
not.
sleep.
It's just all consistency.
It's delayed gratification.
Which is so tough.
So, man, I'll come here to say when it comes to even mental and emotional health, kind of going since we're on this topic, I can't say it's a cure, but I'm telling you, if you just give it a chance, it will change your life. Go exercise is another example where one of my therapy, my mental health and anxiety therapy, is going out for a run without headphones because I'm getting sunlight, I'm getting exercise, and we're gonna go through some of these other factors that are gonna be helpful, and I'm creating a better relationship with myself. I'm talking to myself, right? So nutrition, exercise is a brief. Sleep.
Huge.
Wow. I don't even know where to go into with this.
Sleep?
Here's what I'll tell you right now, because I don't like doing this, but I actually do these on the webinars too, where I bring up the impact of sleep, the negatives, to really give people an idea. And we went through this in the entire other episode.
Yeah.
To give people an idea of how much of an impact it's having. But I'll keep it simple. If you're sleep deprived, which it means under 6 hours, dude, think about it. Sleep deprivation, the general term, means under 6 hours of sleep. I don't know. That might be majority of the people. So
I've been trying not to be there.
here's
I think I've done actually pretty well with 6, but I'm teetering the line.
What's very simple about it is we know that when we don't get enough sleep, we are miserable.
Yeah.
But we're not prioritizing it. So prioritize these 3 because from a mental and emotional standpoint, they will change your life. Ask yourself if you're truly doing what you're supposed to be doing. If you're checking off those boxes, if you're getting more than 6 hours of sleep, if you're preventing your sitting time for 6 hours per day, or getting physical activity 150 minutes per week, all these general guidelines that are out there, you should ask yourself if you're truly doing those before you feel like you have a problem or you kind of spiral into this feeling of being lost, because there is a direction and there is something that's going to really help you. So those were my first 3 in terms of action items and first 3 environmental factors I wanted to go through, right? In terms of, so nutrition, movement, exercise, and sleep, those are the action items. From an environmental standpoint, ultra-processed foods, we mentioned it, are completely destroying people. A sedentary lifestyle, right? Sitting down, not moving their body, completely detrimental. And then this societal norm of sleep when you're dead, destroying it.
Yeah.
Anything off those 3 before I want to go through? I have 7 other ones that I want to bring up that we briefly mentioned, but I think that are super important.
No.
All right.
Hammer down the big 3. I think you guys will see a difference. My ass is on fire talking about sitting down.
Yeah.
For long periods of time.
That's what happens when you get chairs from Ross. Maybe we should get new ones. Should we upgrade? We gotta wait till the podcast as well. So let's
we need a more lucrative sponsor.
Yo, take that back.
No. I
Sponsored by Mano Wellness. All right, so let's go through these, and then I want to get your thoughts on some of these, and then we'll kind of close this out. So big 3, we mentioned them. Next one, I just mentioned light exposure. This is very, very important because this is also going to help with sleep.
That weather's turning. You got no excuse now.
Morning sunlight. We talked about this in the sleep episode. Morning sunlight.
Why morning? Can you say why morning?
Circadian rhythm, that body's internal clock.
Gotcha.
When you get natural sunlight, so our bodies work, that clock works off day and night, right? So when it is in the morning and you get outside and you get sun in your eyes, number one, the sun has these UV rays, which is like basically what type of light is going into our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And it knows that, okay, in the morning it has this certain UV rays. That means it's the start of the day. It will reset your body's internal clock, right? So what that's going to do is it's going to help regulate that so that you're going to get better sleep that night.
So it's great for sleep.
It's going to help you sleep that night, but it's also going to help you wake yourself up for the day. If you get
I always wonder why morning. Why the morning sun.
Now, if you get light exposure at night, now you're telling the same UV rays are coming in. They're lighter because the day's going down. It's going to start winding your body down. So what's crazy, dude, is think about like way back when we spent 90% of our time outside. Now we spend 90%. Think about how much time you are actually outside. If I didn't run, dude, I would never be outside. Maybe other than the times that I'm going into a building. Crazy.
Yeah, we went for a jog at lunch today, but if I didn't do that, I think I would have been outside to my car, to the office.
Yeah.
I would have been maybe a total of 10 minutes.
And so think about that. 90% of people are just staying inside. But think about those times when you do go outside. And this is the action item for people that, even if it's an acute, just low that you're going through or a chronic one, if you go outside and you just take it in, you will feel so much better.
Yeah.
So much better. So light exposure, relationships. We touched on that a lot. In terms of in-person social relationships, people that you can actually talk to about those real life things. You can have those deep conversations like we had in the last episode. So important. Then you can also have online relationships as well. But I think you should prioritize in-person relationships. And then one of the best relationships I think you can do is groups. In-person groups and online groups are so important because you're building multiple relationships in one.
And use the relationships you have. Like, not everyone has a strong relationship, so be grateful for the ones you have and use them.
Yeah, and build relationships that with people that have the same interests as you.
100%.
You'll connect with them very, very well. We got a good relationship. Then personal growth. I think so. I want to couple of these. I want to couple personal growth and hardships. Because I think this is very important. We touched on it last episode in terms of some of the biggest stressful and anxiety-driven moments that we go through in life are also some of the most impactful and growing moments of our life. Again, I use exercise as a great example. Some of my hardest athletic achievements were my greatest because it was the hardest moment. I went through so much trouble to get to the other side. And every entrepreneur that you listen to, the hardest part was the most stressful and anxiety-ridden one, but that was also their favorite part. So going through hardships, it's tough to set that goal or go through in the moment. But if you can get yourself to do it, go through that hard moment, whether it's physical, whether it's career, whatever it is, just get through it. And on the other side, that's where personal growth comes into play.
Yeah.
A lot of purpose and fulfillment there.
Mm-hmm. I left it out on the. Now I'm kicking myself. You said we were gonna leave stuff out. I left it out on the stress, but you talked about getting through it, like on the stress and mental health part. When your mind starts playing those tricks on you, or you start getting stressed out, and you get through it. My mindset lately, and I think it's so good if you're able to adapt it, is like. Now, if you get stressed out again, you can look back at the past one and be like, you didn't beat me last time.
Yeah, right?
Like, I revert everything to sports. So, like, say it's like a rival that always makes you play hard, but you always get the best of them. It's like, you didn't get me last time. I know you're going to make me work, but I got you. And I got your number. I'm going to get you every single fucking time.
And also what that does is it sets a new threshold, right? So, your threshold of running a marathon, right? If you set a marathon goal and you achieve it, you accomplish it, that's not so stressful and anxiety driven anymore. Your new threshold now is maybe a pace, or pushing yourself in, or maybe the distance, right?
Yeah.
So, and that goes into life stressors.
Yeah.
When I deal with something from an entrepreneur standpoint, when I'm building a business and something comes in, but I deal with it and I get through it, I can deal with the next one so much better.
Easy.
So
almost too easy, and then like. You'll realize as you go along, you're getting stressed out about like high level shit that you couldn't imagine being in that situation.
But that's why I'm glad we went through it on the last episode and emphasized why life sucks and it's hard. But again, that's only because I believe personally that's happiness, enjoyment, and fulfillment. So nutrition, movement, exercise, sleep, light exposure, relationships, personal growth, hardships, community engagement. We'll lump that with relationships. I think community.
I like
engagement,
the community engagement though. I think there might be no better feeling, which we have to get back to it. Me and Lauren, we used to do it often. There might be no better feeling than giving back.
Giving back and helping people, and that is exactly why.
That's lacking in my life, and I need to incorporate that again.
I believe one of the biggest reasons I already feel we're 25 years old. I feel so fulfilled is because every day I have the opportunity to help someone and change their life.
I watched a TED Talk last week. I've been into TED Talks for some reason.
They're so good.
They're great. The girl said, me and my 7-year-old have a year. We made a goal last year that we're gonna be happy every single day. Like, you're gonna be happy every single day. You know how they achieved it? They gave back. They did something for the community every single day for 365 days, and the way the dopamine set up is giving back genuinely makes you happy.
So much happier.
They were happy every single day. All you had to do is give back to
Bro,
your
we
community.
mentioned it with that Ferrari example that I used, that we have this want, but it's not actually a want.
Right.
That's happiness and joy.
But that's through, now that to get even, like, he wanted that Ferrari or whoever it was, probably because society told him that was cool to have that Ferrari.
Or he's also comparing to the other people that had Ferraris.
Yeah.
And then he could put it on social media. We're connecting all these dots.
Oh.
Man. Yeah, I think community engagement's huge, helping people. I actually am one that I hate receive. I don't like gifts, but I love giving them. I love
You're the
giving
worst
gifts,
with
man.
gifts.
And there's another reason people saw you gnawing on that sourdough a couple episodes ago. One of the biggest reasons that I started doing that is because, dude, how it makes me feel to see people, how grateful they are to receive it, and then
it's also like the best
it.
thing you've ever tasted.
It makes me feel so good. So that's part of my
chomping.
That's why I love that hobby, dude.
Yeah.
And
no
then
bread. No bread today. If you
I got
guys are
2
wondering.
more. Yeah, I don't have any. 'Cause I'm leaving on Friday. I thought about that too. Spirituality and mindfulness. I want to talk about mindfulness. We kind of touched on a little bit, right? That's just like having that mindfulness. Honestly, just comes down to the relationship you have with yourself. I think if you can build, that's the best relationship that you can build, and the only way to build it is to be within yourself, talk within yourself, no distractions. Spirituality is an interesting one because people also get a little tense and tight with this, and I don't think it's what people think. Spirituality is totally up to the individual, right? We have religions, but it honestly, I think it just comes down to believing in whether it's your own or a religious higher power, but it comes down to something that you can have a relationship with that is not another person, that's kind of within yourself, that you can always rely on and talk to, honestly. I am not as religious as I want to be, but I would say I'm very spiritual. Where, for example, right, one of the biggest things with a spiritual practice is Stoicism. It's not really a practice. It's not a religion. It's just more of a way of living. But basically, like, what it is just like just perspectives to have on life that'll give you really good perspectives that'll kind of lead you to like that overall like fulfillment and purpose and all that kind of stuff. So whether it's your religion, whether it's a philosophy, a way of living, I think it's very important for people to have kind of that spiritual sense, and that also goes in with mindfulness. I think it's just a mindful practice.
Well said.
Anything off of any of those?
No, I don't think I can add too much to the spirituality.
Yeah.
Because that's something I'm trying to get better at. Me and Lauren talked about that too.
Because that was all 10. That was the 10 action items.
They were a 10 out of 10, Ant.
Yeah.
They were a 10 out of 10, man.
Awesome. I love that. So I want to close out part 1 and part 2 with I think again. This is really tough because I already know when we finish this, I'm going to have so many things that we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
And maybe we do a part 3 later down the road. We probably will.
Yeah.
But I want to emphasize that we kind of separated these 2 episodes in 2 parts, right? Part 1 was more of just that real conversation, that raw talk. Part 2 was more of actionable items, the health side of things that you can do. Both very important, but they have a direct correlation with each other.
100%.
I think if you can take one thing from each of those episodes and start implementing into your life, get really good at that one, then start maybe adding another one. I think, and I'm confident that people can really make a change if they just start being a little bit more selfish, focus on themselves, and that's because that's really all that matters when we talk about mental and emotional health, and implement some of the things that we talked about. So that's my action item. You gave your action item in the last episode, but do you have any other kind of close-ups, conclusions?
No, my highlight
takeaways?
actually is what I learned is hammer down the core 3. They're now my core 3.
It's awesome, man.
Figure out what food you should be eating. Figure out a fitness routine that works best for you and is good for you, and figure out a way to optimize sleep for yourself. Hammer down those big 3. You'll be checking a lot of boxes that you've been asking yourself. You'll be checking a lot of boxes that you've been trying to check.
That you don't realize that we're the missing piece too.
Yeah. It's not simple, but it may just be that simple.
No. I was literally about to say my favorite saying to everyone is, "It is simple. It's not easy."
Right.
It is very simple.
Right.
Those are the 3, and then obviously it can get deeper than that. But
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I love both of these parts.
10 out of 10.
I hope people got any value out of it. If you did,
Like and subscribe.
like and subscribe. Presented by Mano Wellness. Seriously, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in episode 10.
Peace.
Peace.